Wait is not over yet, despite across-the-board not guilty verdicts for 3 former SAPD officers. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Ernie Zuniga.
And I'm Myra Arthur. Defense attorneys at the San Antonio Police Officers Association demanding answers now. That's after a jury acquitted those 3 former officers of murder and assault charges for killing a woman. Erica Hernandez spoke with those attorneys and the police union about why they're focused now on the next Bexar County election.
Our officers now are afraid to do their job.
The head of the San Antonio Police Officers Association is speaking out a day after 3 former San Antonio officers were found not guilty in the 2023 shooting death of Melissa Perez. President Danny Diaz described how officers are worried about doing their job correctly and if they have any support. He said the decision to prosecute Nathaniel Villalobos, Alfred Flores, and Eliezer Alejandro was political.
That was a decision that was made because of political pressure. Either political pressure or people were just afraid of taking care of their own job.
Defense attorney Nicola Hood is also critical of San Antonio Police and Chief Willie McManus.
And this is not a shot on him personally, but professionally, it was a horrible decision. He knew he didn't have that situation. He knew it wasn't a mental health call. All you had to do is do your due diligence and look at the evidence.
As well as the district attorney's office.
Daryl Harris should not be a prosecutor in that DA's office. And the fact that he's still employed there tells you everything about the administration ideology and what they're trying to do with law enforcement.
LaHood says the officers are contemplating legal action against the city and the district attorney's office. Both he and Diaz say issues in the DA's office will be handled by the voters next year.
For the sake of the citizens of San Antonio, not just police officers, it is due time that we have a district attorney that follows the law and prosecutes people and give the jury the opportunity to see if there was right or wrong.
We reached out to both SAPD and the DA's office. As for SAPD, they told us Chief Willie McManus was not available for an interview, and they gave us the same statement that they issued out yesterday after that verdict was reached. As for the DA's office, today is a holiday, so they are not open, so we hope to get a response from them by tomorrow. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, let's get a first check of the forecast. Beautiful blue skies and brisk out there today, Adam.
Oh, yeah. It was the coldest we've had since late February, about 260 days. It's been a while since we've been this cold. Earlier this morning, we bottomed out at 38 officially in San Antonio. Hondo, Kerrville briefly hit 32. Same with Austin. We had some nooks and crannies in the hill country and outside of San Antonio that briefly had freezing. But this was the low point. It's only upward from here. Right now, low 70s. A beautiful afternoon. Nice way to start the evening. Temperatures falling off, of course, but not as much as last night. By 7 o'clock, we're 65, 9 o'clock, 61. So maybe just a light sweatshirt out there this evening. And then tomorrow morning, instead of 30s, we'll start the day closer to 50 degrees at sunrise. About 50 here in town and some upper 40s in outlying areas. Bernie 48, 49 Nixon, and as cool as 44 Hondo, 46 in Sabinal. But still, a big improvement from what we had earlier this morning, about 10 degrees warmer in many spots. And then we keep climbing upward, mornings well into the 60s before you know it. An update to our rain chances with a shifting pattern in just a bit.
Adam, thank you. You know, this next story isn't just a recall alert. It's about infant health and safety. The company ByHeart, which makes organic baby formula, recalling all of its products because they could be linked to a botulism outbreak. Now, the Food and Drug Administration says that since August, at least 15 babies across 12 states, including Texas, have been hospitalized after consuming ByHeart's powdered infant formula. To be clear here, no deaths have been reported, but parents who feed their children this formula in particular are concerned because botulism can be life-threatening. It's a bacterial infection that could lead to muscle paralysis and also affect breathing and other parts of the body. Of course, with babies, it's even more delicate because they can't explain how they're feeling. So we spoke with Dr. Sabrina Perkins. She's a pediatric emergency medicine physician over at Christus Children's, and she explained what parents should be looking out for.
If the baby's been exposed to this particular formula and they're seeing any symptoms that show that the baby seems weaker, a weaker cry, a weaker suck, difficulty feeding, most definitely difficulty breathing, would mean you absolutely need to seek medical care immediately.
So ByHeart is sold online, also at stores like Target, Walmart, Albertsons, and Whole Foods. And if you're on the company's mailing list, you probably got an email that looks like that. We also know that Target is emailing customers who have ordered the formula, warning them about this recall. So the Centers for Disease Control says that at least 2 babies in Texas have been hospitalized in this botulism outbreak. Federal investigators say, however, that they haven't identified any other infant formula brands or other sources of exposure in the outbreak. Here's the bottom line. If you have this formula, get rid of it. You can also call the company to see what they can do for you and possibly get you a refund. Myra, Ernie?
All right, Stephanie, thank you for that. Well, today, KSAT heard directly from Camp Mystic after the families of several of the young girls who died in the July 4th floods filed a lawsuit. It is one of at least 4 suits that have now been filed against the camp.
So in this suit that we're talking about here, families of 5 campers and 2 counselors allege gross negligence and reckless disregard for safety. Today, Camp Mystic responded, saying, quote, "We continue to pray for the grieving families and ask for God's healing and comfort." End quote. The camp's legal counsel sent us a separate statement saying, quote, "We intend to demonstrate and prove that this sudden surge of floodwaters far exceeded any previous flood in the area by several magnitudes, that it was unexpected and that no adequate warning systems existed in the area. We disagree with several accusations and misinformation in the legal filings regarding the actions of Camp Mystic and Dick Eastland, who lost his life as well. We will thoroughly respond to these accusations in due course." End quote. The first lawsuit was filed by the parents of the Heavens 27. It claims the camp housed girls in flood-prone cabins and failed to follow state evacuation rules, calling the deaths an entirely preventable tragedy. Hours later, another suit was filed by the family of Eloise Peck, an 8-year-old camper who died as well. Both suits seek over $1 million in damages. Camp attorneys say that staff did their best during this unprecedented disaster. Camp Mystic does plan to reopen next summer with new safety protocols. And coming up tonight at 6, you will hear directly from the families who lost children at Camp Mystic and are now taking that legal action.
All right, it is day 42 of the government shutdown, and we are one step closer to it potentially being over. The Senate passed a funding package last night, and now the House will hold its first round of votes on the bill starting tomorrow afternoon. So food banks across the country are still seeing long lines due to SNAP benefit cuts. If the government funding bill passes in the House, SNAP benefits will only be funded through September 2026. And speaking of SNAP benefits, the Trump administration is still asking the Supreme Court to block the order requiring them to pay out SNAP benefits. If and when the government reopens, the argument would essentially be over. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration has rolled out deeper cuts to flights at 40 major U.S. airports. This despite a shutdown deal being closed. Today, the targeted emergency flight cancellations increased from 4% to 6% at those airports, which included ones in Houston and Dallas, but not San Antonio. Air travel is being severely impacted. Today, more than 1,200 flights were canceled and nearly 2,000 delayed. At last check here in San Antonio, we have not seen any major impact or cancellations. Last Friday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy ordered a 10% reduction in flights after controllers had been working without pay and staffing shortages at air traffic facilities.
A Runge ISD employee is accused of having an improper relationship with a student. Tonight, she is out of jail. The Karnes County Sheriff's Office says that Andrea Melba Rodriguez was taken into custody Monday and charged with tampering with evidence. Investigators say that Rodriguez confessed to having a relationship with a middle school student. Investigators also say that Rodriguez destroyed evidence and could face additional charges. We did reach out to Runge ISD to see if Rodriguez is still employed by the district, but have not yet heard back.
Well, let's get you outside, and not a great scene right now at I-10 at Frio. It is a snail's pace over there right now, and no indication that this is an accident or there's anything ahead of this, just some rush hour traffic right now, but pretty slow, so patience definitely required here. I-10 at Frio. We'll continue to keep an eye on this for you and check it again as necessary.
Did you know that just under 200,000 people die every year from preventable medical errors? A local woman developed a device that she hopes is a solution for that, and it is so simple. Elizabeth Friedman is the founder and CEO of Safin. Her company created brightly colored plastic tags that snap onto IV lines. The idea here is to clearly label the name and the type of medication flowing through that line using words, shapes, and symbols. Right now, Friedman says there's no uniform system for that. Often medical staff write on stickers or pieces of tape, and then they stick them to the IV line.
So in 50% of the facilities, there's nothing used at all.
No labels at all.
No labels at all. Some people, this is a nurse workaround. 58% of medication errors with IV lines is due to line labeling confusion.
I got a chance to talk to Elizabeth about this problem, and this is a photo that really illustrates it. It's something called spaghetti syndrome. There's a name for all this chaotic mess. It's a jumble of wires, cords, and IV lines that sometimes can be connected to just one patient. And as you can imagine, that can be confusing and time-consuming to try to trace each line back to its source to identify it. It's what Friedman hopes her product could fix. You can read more about Safin, that's the name of the company, on KSAT.com. Paying tribute to those who've served and sacrificed. This morning, dozens of people gathered at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery for a Veterans Day ceremony.
So it included a presentation of the flag, moments of reflection, and the playing of taps. Veterans from all military branches and their families filled the rows of the amphitheater. Several elected leaders also spoke during the program.
And tonight on KSAT Plus, we will be streaming our 1-hour news special on the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon. It is a deep look at the connections between San Antonio veterans and the Vietnam War. We'll share their stories, some of which have never been told in 5 decades. We will air that at 9 o'clock on KSAT Plus.
3 foxes with rabies found within a month's time on the north side. What pet owners are being told to do to keep their pets and families safe.
We're back now, and treatment for rabies is both painful and expensive. But if left untreated, it can also be deadly. So right now, a county official is urging people to protect their families.
Yeah, and here's why. There have been close to 20 confirmed cases of rabies in Bexar County. Now, most of those cases have been in bats, but 3 rabid foxes have been found on the north side. Bashada Pope shares what pet owners are being asked to do to prevent rabies from spreading.
19 confirmed cases of rabies in Bexar County. Of those, 13 were in bats.
It's very common for rabies to occur in bats. We have dozens of those every year, and bats don't typically come into contact with humans.
But the animals in the other cases, skunks, a raccoon, and foxes do.
Because those animals are more likely to come into contact with a pet who might be unvaccinated or who might be aggressive and perhaps come in contact and create an exposure in a human. And that's when things could get dangerous.
Rabies is a virus that attacks the nervous system and is spread by infected animals when they bite or when their saliva comes in contact with a wound or scratch on the skin of pets and humans. Last week, the Bexar County Public Health Department confirmed another fox with rabies was captured on Invitation Oak in the TPC Parkway and Boulevardy Road area.
The fox was acting aggressive towards this woman, but did not come in contact with her. She recognized it as not typical behavior. The fox wasn't trying to run away from her. The fox was approaching her during daylight hours, which is not typical.
Dr. Andrea Guerrero is the director of the Bexar County Public Health Department and says the latest case makes 3 rabid cases within a 10-mile radius.
That's why we are, notifying the public to make sure you get your pets vaccinated and make sure that you let us know if you see an animal acting this way. I think in this 10-mile radius, you should be on the lookout.
She says when the temperatures begin to drop, wildlife can become more active.
It's not so hot outside, and so they might roam around a little bit more.
But county officials want residents who live in rural areas or close to green spaces to be extra vigilant when they let their pets out or if their pets stay outside.
Watch your pets if you let them outside. Just kind of don't let them roam because they might get into a fight with an infected animal, and that could be an exposure as well. So just keep an eye on them, get them vaccinated. For everyone's safety is the best way to prevent.
Bashada Pope, KSAT 12 News.
All right, look outside with live cam. We, of course, are talking these fall temperatures, what we're watching over the weekend, and a geomagnetic storm?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Good question mark, yes.
Exactly.
What's that about?
Yeah, a little space weather prediction going on today because yesterday evening we had a coronal mass ejection from the sun. You'll see the animation here. It's basically a bunch of plasma and magnetic fields just thrown out from the sun. It's kind of like a sun burp, if you will, is what it is.
Excuse you.
Yeah, it's a sun burp.
Sun burp.
A sun burp, and then that burp travels toward Earth, and depending on the time of day and the orientation of our magnetic field, it can cause auroras farther south than typically seen. Now, I don't anticipate any aurora visible in San Antonio, and there could be some slight impacts to GPS and satellite interruptions tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. That's what happens with some of the stronger geomagnetic storms, and this is forecasted to be a G4 out of a scale of 5. Now, typically with those G4s, some auroras can be seen as far south as northern Alabama, maybe the panhandle of Texas, and all the way up into parts of northern California. Now, because of the sensitive technology in our smartphone cameras, they can see the aurora before our eyes can. So there's about a 20% chance the aurora could be visible to smartphones in the hill country tonight, and especially before sunrise tomorrow. But I only give about a 10 to 20% chance. Rain chance is very similar, about 20% now, not looking as good. And that's mainly Monday into Tuesday. So here's what we're watching. Upper level high, the warm bubble over the southwestern U.S. Now, we were really hoping for this next system to watch that's just moved out of Alaska. That we were hoping that would line itself up to give us good rain chances over the weekend. And right now, as is typical with these cut-off upper level lows, see how it pinches off from the main steering flow in the atmosphere and then drifts. They're notoriously finicky to predict beyond 2 or 3 days out. And this one's probably going to be slower than anticipated and staying farther to the north. Another one right on its heels drops into California, could situate itself next week to give us some rain chances, but it's not looking exactly ideal yet. And again, it's finicky. It's one of those cut-off upper level lows that are notoriously difficult to forecast. But you look at the overall rainfall potential, and really, it's the West Coast because of those two systems dropping down and sitting and slowly drifting. Around here, we have a chance, but again, it's only about 20% as of now, Monday into Tuesday, with these cut-off swirling upper level lows that are broken away from the main steering flow. Things always change, so check back for updates. This morning, 38. This afternoon, 73. 73 is exactly average for this time of year. By the way, the record low is 26, so we were far from record breaking. Right now we're at 72. Dew point of 33. Very dry air still in place. Dewey's down in the 30s, even 20s in some places, but that's going to change. We're going to get that spring-like feel again back in the air before you know it, especially by Friday and through the upcoming weekend and into early next week. It's going to feel sticky outside. So from a kind of a slight winter appetizer early this morning in the 30s, back to spring before you know it. Tomorrow morning at 50, 76 at noon, 81 the high temperature, south wind at 10 to 15. As warm as 87 in Cotulla, meanwhile 79 Fredericksburg and Kerrville. Some morning fog with the added humidity Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then notice those highs into the 80s for several days starting tomorrow.
All right, Adam, thank you.
Very nice. All right, Larry, I know it is way early still, but the Spurs are the #2 seed in the West right now.
Yeah, how about that? They are 8-2. Last year at this point, they were 4-6, so a turnaround for sure for the San Antonio Spurs. Last night, they got big man Luke Cornett back in the action, and he put up some really good numbers. And up in Dallas, Nico is out. Coming up.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's good to have him back. There's not many shot blockers like him in the league, so it's always good to play with Luke.
Victor Wembanyama is happy to have his fellow 7-footer Luke Cornett back in the game, and that Cornett block led to a Spurs bucket at the other end in Big Board Sports. Last night, the Spurs won at the Bulls 121-117, pushing their win streak to 3 in a row. Wemby scored 18 of his game-high 38 in the fourth quarter to help the Spurs come back to win. San Antonio led by as many as 12 points in the second quarter and then found themselves down by 9 going into the fourth, and that's when Wemby and the Spurs outscored the Bulls 32-19 the rest of the way, and they stepped it up on the defensive end as well.
Yeah, I feel like it started with our defense. I mean, we wanted to be more aggressive on defense. I felt like we were giving up too many easy buckets. We had a lead, let them get back in it, and then they got a rhythm, took a lead. But fourth quarter, I feel like we came together, got our principles together, and then got some stops, got some easy buckets for Vic, got him going, and then he closed it.
Luke Cornett was back last night after missing 7 games with an ankle injury. He had 16 points, going 6 for 6 from the floor, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block in 20 minutes. So how did he feel about his return to action?
Yeah, I'm honestly overall went pretty well. I feel like, first half especially, just kind of a couple minutes feeling really good moving and then getting a little tired, but that's kind of to be expected. And then I feel like it was nice in the fourth quarter, especially just kind of like settling into the game, and that sort of just takes over. So, it's good to be back and good to be playing, and just be on the floor with everybody. Obviously, I'd had a ton of time before then even playing, so it's just nice to keep getting reps and playing games.
The Spurs will next host the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night at 7. The tip-off a 5-game homestand and 2 straight games against the Dubs. The Dallas Mavericks today fired general manager Nico Harrison. The move is an admission 9 months later that the widely criticized trade of Luka Doncic backfired on the franchise. The decision comes a day after Mavericks Governor Patrick Dumont attended a 116-114 loss to Milwaukee, during which fans again chanted, "Fire Nico." It's been a familiar scene since the blockbuster deal that brought Anthony Davis from the LA Lakers and angered the Dallas fan base.
The drama continues.
And I was saying, I told you, I was surprised he lasted this long.
Yeah, same here.
Nonetheless. Okay, very good, Larry. Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up tonight on ABC Primetime. At 7 o'clock, it is Dancing with the Stars. At 9, Golden Girls, 40 years of laughter and friendship, followed by the Night Beat at 10. So I'm busy from 9 to 10.
Yes, thank you for being a friend, Adam Caskey.
We know what Myra's doing.
That's right.
That was her show. All right, Blanche and who are the others?
Rose.
Dorothy.
Dorothy.
Rose. Yeah. Sophia.
Sophia was Estelle Getty, the mom, yeah.
All right, temperatures right now, weather watchers, 70s, even 68 in Kerrville, Bernie 69, 71 Windcrest, Seguin 71. Temperatures not falling off as much tonight. 50 in the morning tomorrow, then 81. Warmer with more humidity soon.
All right, thanks, Adam. Thank you for watching the news at 5.